Hello, this is an additional video just covering how to change your controls. So what you're going to do is go up to the top left of where these three lines are, hit controls, and here you can view all controls you could ever need. Now, we're going to be going over to this button right here to set up most of what we need, but suppose I can go over a few things. So right, I'm in the aircraft tab. Move to the right of that is the helicopter tab, ground vehicles, naval vehicles, so that would be the boats. Common, which are controls that carry over between all the general game modes for the most part. And finally, spectator camera. This is more useful in free play mode, but we can set this. We don't really worry about this too much right now. Anyways, going back over to here, you see there are four buttons up top. Mouse aim, simplified controls, realistic, and full read. All we're going to worry about is mouse aim. I'll be honest, I couldn't really do too well a job to explain the other three, but if you just hover over each button, it'll let you know what each of the controls are for. Essentially, as you go towards the right, the more inputs you'll have to put in order to fly your aircraft. Anyways, for simplicity's sake, we're going to go here, click on Control Setup Wizard, and for the control layout, put Custom Controls. So that we click it here. It should be default on keyboard and mouse only, unless you got like an Xbox controller or any of these other devices plugged in. As you can see, you got Thrustmaster, all these other joysticks, but we're gonna go to custom controls, and then click Control Setup Wizard again, and we're gonna do it for air. Select the mouse aim, and then default is aim setting for mouse. I'm just gonna set it as no. Anyways, so go on to pitch axis. Now I'm gonna put this in a Google Doc as I mentioned, but you're gonna want to do it in this order: W, S. Roll axis, that's gonna be D and A. That stays the same. Yaw, E and Q. Throttle axis, rather than W and S, we're gonna be using R and F. So R and then F. And now it was the last about holding down the throttle for whip, which is raw emergency power. Essentially, this is where you're powering up the engine a little bit more to produce a little bit extra horsepower. We're gonna say no for that. You're gonna want to be able to just press the button and let it stay on. Boosters, not really gonna need this anytime soon, but for right now, I'm just gonna bind it to B. Small caliber guns is currently on left mouse button. We can keep that the same for now, though I will also be putting this on the right mouse button. I'll explain that later. Large caliber, same thing, left mouse button, just hit add. Bomb bay door, just keep current assignment, drop bombs, fine as is. Press up and say fine as is, as you can see where my mouse is. Just click on the button to the bottom right, keep current assignment. Weapon lock, air to air, this has to do with air to air missiles. You do not have to worry about this in the slightest, so for your sake you can put it as keep the current assignment, but for me I'm just gonna bind it. Because I can. Place. That. Lock that. Countermeasures. Same thing. Essentially, these are stuff like flares and chaff. Basically, they make it so that missiles will have a harder time locking onto you. I usually put that on middle mouse, but again, don't have to worry about that at all. Anyways, moving on. For search, radar. He's essentially for every aircraft that's a radar. Honestly, with stuff-related radar, I'm not too familiar with it myself, so I just hop into a test flight with someone with radar, such as the F3D Skyhawk or the F4 Phantom, and then just mess around with it there. If I'm completely honest with you. Yeah, axis for aim weapons. I honestly don't really know much about this. I think this has to do with stuff. Reload guns, I honestly just want to delete that. Keep the current. Flaps, I usually put this on tilde, which is the button to the left of 1. Lock target, keep that the same. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. And then from here, you can just generally just click all the way until you get to the M, where it says you can view controls. Now from here, we want to have the default view be third person, and then default, and then we're just gonna go back to keep current assignments. And here we can just hit escape. We don't need this anymore. Now, from here, we don't need swing sweep. This has to do with variable wing aircraft such as the F-14 Tomcat, if you know what that is. Thrust reversal, it's really only something for jets. Essentially, it allows the aircraft to move backwards with the power of its engine through just redirecting where the flow goes. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to want to add some gear to small arms, and that will be adding in with right click. Essentially, what this lets us do is, if we have aircraft with multiple armament, and for instance, say you have a BF-109 with both the 20mm cannons and the 7.92 light machine guns, we're going to want to be able to hold down the right click to shoot off our machine guns only, so we can conserve our cannon rounds for when we know we can actually get the shot off. Primary and secondary weapons is really only going to be useful on when you have aircraft with multiple weapons. Let's take the Phantom for instance. In order to fire missiles, you have to use the same buttons, but to cycle between the Sparrows and the Sidewinders, which are radar guided and heat-seeking missiles respectively. You're gonna want this is what these buttons are for. I have nothing for primary, though this I honestly just you can put that to the left mouse button really. Add that. Secondary weapons. I just really just put that to my mouse 5, which is just just add that on. Oh right, weapon log. Which kind of messed that one up. Replace. Fire. Alright, let's see, is there anything else to do? Oh yeah, take out reload guns. Auto control. Oh yeah, instructor mode. This one is important. You're going to want to turn all of these off, except for probably landing gear. This one honestly doesn't matter, but every other one of the ones here, you do not need it all. So let's just say that your plane is missing a landing gear. You're trying to make a crash landing on the airfield. What the instructor sees is that you're almost about to crash, so it's trying to pull up, even though you're just trying to land it on its belly, which will lead you to essentially just crash. Let's see, final stuff, go over to common. We are going to want to find where is it? Let's do it zoom. Where's zoom? As you can tell, this is all there it is. All unscripted, but we found it eventually. We just want to get rid of the right mouse button function for it. Now, I'm only focused on air. If you want me to cover ground vehicles, naval, and whatnot, fear about helicopters, I have not used them at all in the actual fight except for the enduring conflicts. But I mean, if you want me to do something on ground vehicles and naval, I mean, just let me know. But otherwise, that's just about it. So yeah, hope this was helpful. Alright, see you around.